Hey everyone! So 2025 is wrapping up, and what a year it's been for Czech. I mean, seriously, we've seen some wild stuff happen. Bitcoin going absolutely crazy, then crashing. AI basically taking over everything, and governments finally declining by maybe we should regulate some of this stuff. Today I'm breaking down everything that happened in tech this year, and I mean everything. We are talking about crypto, AI, the metaverse, smart cities, robotics, and all the drama around regulations and free speech online. This is gonna be a long one, so grab some coffee and let's dive in. Bitcoin and crypto. Alright, let's start with Bitcoin because honestly, what a roller coaster. So Bitcoin hit an all-time high above 226,000 in October. Can you believe that? Everyone was pumped because the US government was suddenly being super crypto friendly. Institutions were pouring money in, and it felt like we were finally going mainstream. But then, crash. October 10th, the market absolutely tanked. We are talking over $19 billion in leveraged positions wiped out, the largest crypto liquidation ever. Why? Trump announced new tariffs and everyone panicked. Bitcoin ended the year around $87,000, which is actually slightly down from where it started. First yearly loss since 2022. But here's the thing. Even though the price was rough, adoption kept growing. More retailers accepting Lightning Network payments, more countries moving towards recognizing Bitcoin officially. And here's the big one. BlackRock's iShare Bitcoin Trust ETF. One of the most successful ETF debuts ever. So institutions are definitely still interested. The US also made some huge moves. They ended those SEC lawsuit against major crypto exchanges and passed actual federal laws defining stablecoins. That's massive for clarity in the space. So looking ahead 2026, a lot of people think Bitcoin could be top performer. The 2024-5 halving effects usually kick in 12 to 18 months later, which points to mid-2025 into 2026 for potential upside. We'll see if the January effect gives it a boost. Now let's talk DeFi, decentralized finance. This is basically crypto's version of Wall Street, right? 2025 was interesting for DeFi because it matured a lot. We are seeing real institutional adoption now. Banks are actually using tokenized deposits trading on permission DeFi platforms. Stablecoins went totally mainstream with governments drafting supervision laws worldwide. But it wasn't all sunshine. We had over 2.7 billion in crypto hacks this year, a record. The Bybit hack alone was $1.4 billion. Even decentralized exchanges got hit hard with a $223 million hack on one and $128 million drained from a liquidity protocol. The cool innovation stuff? Real. World assets in DeFi became real. We are talking loans backed by actual real estate, invoices, government bonds that bring steady yields and attracts corporate treasures. And by the end of the year, top protocols formed an alliance to standardize safety measures, things like circuit breakers to pause trading during extreme volatility. That's the kind of grown-up behavior that shows DeFi is maturing. For 2026, watch for more partnerships between traditional banks and DeFi platforms. We might actually see Fortune 500 companies publicly mentioning they are earning yield via DeFi. Okay, AI, the big topic. This was the story of 2025. AI was literally everywhere, in our apps, our jobs, politics, everything. And the big development? China shocked everyone. DeepSeek released their R1 model in January, trained at a fraction of the cost of Western models. And it was open source. Anyone could download and run it. This was huge because it showed China wasn't just catching up, they were leading in OpenAI research, and it forced OpenAI's hand. They released their own open source model in August, first time ever for them. Meanwhile, the US went all in on Trump announced Project Stargate, $500 billion for AI infrastructure, data centers, power plants, the whole deal. Nvidia became the world's first $5 trillion company just from AI chip demand. The breakthrough this year was reasoning. AI models, instead of just generating responses, these new models from Google, DeepMind, and OpenAI actually perform logical reasoning. They won gold medals in the International Math Olympiad. They derived new mathematical theorems. Stuff was impossible just a couple years ago. But there was a dark side too. Remember that tragic case with the chatbot and the teenage suicide? That led to some serious soul-searching in the industry about AI safety. Now adoption stats are interesting. About 46% of US adults use generative AI tools this year, but growth has leveled off. Why? Cost. OpenAI introduced ChatGPT Plus at $20 a month and started limiting the free tier. Casual users who were playing with it daily just stopped using it as much. For 2026, watch for GPT-5 or the next big model leap, GPT-5.5. The EU AI Act compliance deadlines hit, which will force companies to meet strict requirements, and we'll see if AI adoption picks back up or continues to plateau. Internet of Things, IoT. All those smart gadgets connecting everything kept expanding, but not as dramatically as people hoped. The big wins were in smart cities. AI-driven traffic control systems like Pittsburgh's SurTag cut travel times by 25% and emissions by 20%. Smart waste management in cities like Barcelona cut overflow incidents by 80% using sensor-fitted bins. In factories, IoT sensors on assembly lines predicted equipment failures so well that downtime dropped by half in some places. Edge computing took off too, processing data rights there instead of sending it all to the cloud. But the sector faced a reality check. Those forecasts of an $11 trillion IoT market by 2025 didn't happen. Companies discovered scaling IoT from pilots to full deployment is hard. Many IoT platforms providers actually left the market. Security remained a huge concern. We saw hacked security cameras, exploited factory sensors. Government stepped in with IoT cybersecurity labeling programs and the EU Cyber Resilience Act setting baseline security standards. For 2026, watch for more edge AI integration. Even tiny devices will have built-in AI making split-second decisions. 5G networks become ubiquitous, will help cellular IoT take off. In consumer health, IoT could surge with advanced smartwatches becoming FDA-approved medical devices. Internet 2.0 and digital trust. The Internet itself evolved a lot in 2025 toward what people call Internet 2.0 or the Evernet. Infrastructure got major upgrades. Starlink and other satellite constellations launched thousands more satellites, bringing high-speed internet to remote regions. We are getting closer to an internet that's literally everywhere 24/7. But the biggest focus was digital trust and identity. With AI-generated fakes and cyber fraud at all-time highs, there was a huge push to secure online identity. Several EU countries rolled out eID wallets, government-backed credentials to prove who you are online. The US state pushed log-in with ID services using driver's license, and passwords started fading away in favor of passkeys, loose device-based cryptographic logins from Apple and Google. For content authenticity, the C2PA standard took off. Images and videos could carry cryptographic signatures proving their source. This came because the UK called the 8 million projected deepfakes an urgent national priority. Financial institutions reported record fraud, £629 million stolen in the UK in just the first half of 2025, largely due to AI-powered identity theft. The industry responded with better KYC checks and face liveness detection. The US even passed the Take It Down Act, criminalizing AI-generated intimate images without consent. For 2026, watch for wider implementations of all these identity initiatives and the fight against deepfakes escalating with real-time detection in video calls. So what's about smart cities? Smart cities made real progress in 2025, focusing on being people-centric rather than just tech for tech's sakes. Singapore continued leading with over 19% public services accessible via their national digital platform. Dubai expanded autonomous vehicle trials and AI-powered policy drones. European cities like Barcelona and Copenhagen focused tech on livability and climate goals. The solutions that worked were practical. AI-powered transit systems adjusting traffic lights in real time. Pittsburgh system went citywide with travel times down by double digits. Helsinki's mobility as a service app got 38% of users to reduce daily car use. Smart utilities took a leap. California's virtual power plant supplied 100 megawatt back to the grid during peak times using Tesla home batteries. Cities in India experimented with peer-to-peer solar trading via blockchain. Public safety used AI surveillance carefully. Some neighborhoods saw crime drops up to 40% with real-time crime centers, but cities also ensured community oversight commitments to avoid overreach. The key lesson? Technology alone doesn't make a city smart. Governance and citizen engagement too. Cities that involved residents in planning tech projects and focused on real local problems succeeded. For 2026, expect more autonomy and AI city drones doing infrastructure inspections, urban air mobility demos. Climate resilience will drive agendas harder with sensor networks for wildfire detection and smart irrigation to combat urban hard islands. Metaverse. Remember all the metaverse hype? In 2025, it's still around, but way less hyped. Consumer interest stayed lukewarm. About 43 million VR devices were sold, a sevenfold increase from 2020, but mostly entry-level headsets for gaming and fitness. People aren't living in VR. The most people use metaverse platforms were still Roblox, Fortnite, and Minecraft, mostly on flat screens. But enterprise found real value. VR training for Walmart and Boeing employees, car companies using VR for design reviews, factories with digital twins for monitoring. This is where the money is short term. Apple finally entered with the Vision Pro mixed reality headset, pricey, but it sparked new ideas for productivity and entertainment AR apps. Tool development improved massively. Unity and Unreal made it easier to create AR/VR experiences. Generative AI became as quite a lie. Need a 3D model? AI can create it from prompts now. The current status? The metaverse as a buzzword is less hyped. Meta itself started using AI more in marketing than metaverse. But the underlying tech, VR, AR, virtual worlds, is steadily improving and finding niches. For 2026, Apple's role will be crucial. If Vision Pro gains traction, it could spark a wave of AR apps. We will see if VR training pilots truly go mainstream across industries. Regulations. Oh boy, regulations. 2025 was a huge for tech law globally. The EU led the way. The AI Act was finalized, first broad AI law in the world. It banned things like social scoring and real-time biometrics ID in public. The DSA, Digital Services Act, started being enforced. X got hit with a 120 million fine for failing basic obligations. The US took a lighter touch. Trump revoked the previous AI executive order and issued one focusing on American leadership in AI, basically cutting red tape. In December, he tired and tried to preempt the state AI laws asserting federal dominance. Congress did pass the Take It Down Act, though criminalizing deepfakes porn without consent. And many states passed digital privacy laws right to repair. Laws and commemorating laws around age verification. For crypto, 2025 was a turning point. The US passed the Genius Act, creating the first federal stablecoin rules. Banking regulators removed barriers preventing banks from crypto custody. The SEC dropped many of its lawsuits against exchanges. In Europe, MiCA, Markets in Crypto Assets regulation, came into effect. It established uniform licensing across the EU. Many companies got licensed, leading to consolidation of compliant exchanges. Free speech online was a hot button issue. Europe's DSA put hard requirements on platforms to remove illegal content promptly. The US saw multiple states try to ban censorship of political speech by platforms, but these laws are being challenged in courts. For 2026, enforcement ramps up. The UAA Act main compliance deadlines hit. We will see if companies withdraw certain AI systems from Europe or modify them. The US election will test content moderation policies again. Robotics. Robots got seriously smarter in 2025 thanks to better AI. In factories, collaborative robots, so-called cobots, became mainstream. They work right next to humans with sensors to avoid little hitting people. Thanks to AI vision and better grippers, they handle wider varieties of objects and adjust to variations. Warehouse robots reached new levels. Giant fleets of autonomous mobile robots navigated like self-driving cars with dynamic obstacles avoidance. No more fixed routes or QR code stickers needed. Medical robotics saw life-changing deployments. Surgical robots performed more procedure types with AI providing real-time issue feedback. The FDA approved a robot for fully endoscopic heart valve repair. Rehabilitation robots helped spinal injury patients practice walking with gait training systems. Personal robots were more incremental. Robot vacuums got better at not eating socks. Lawn mowing robots grew in popularity. There were even prototypes of kitchen assistant robots that could chop veggies and cook basic recipes. The big change was AI integration. Multimodal AI gave robots better context understanding. They could see a box label saying fragile glass and adjust their grip accordingly. Safety systems advanced as robots left cages and entered human space. The ISO issued update guidelines for cobot safety. Some cities contemplated requiring registration for autonomous robots in public. For 2026, watch out for robot taxis either scaling to more cities or stalling due to safety concerns. Humanoid robots from Tesla and Xiaomi might show if they can do meaningful work, and agriculture robotics could accelerate alleviating labor shortages. Geoeconomics. Tech and geopolitics were deeply intertwined in 2025. The ongoing war in Ukraine put stress on global trade. Western semiconductors kept turning up in Russian military gear despite sanctions, prompting even tighter export enforcement. Strategic ships became like 21st century oil. The US continued expanding export controls to prevent China from getting advanced chips. China retaliated by expanding export controls on critical minerals like gallium and germanium. Friendshoring became reality. Supply chains rerouted to friendly nations. Vietnam, Thailand, India, Mexico got more semiconductor assembly. Apple produced more iPhones in India by year end. The CHIPS export first fruit. The US had several new CHIPS fabs under construction. Intel in Ohio, TSMC in Arizona, Samsung in Texas won't produce at scale until 2026-2027, but they are happening. The decoupling became real. We saw two tech spheres emerging. US EU, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, India on one side, China, Russia, Iran on the other. Countries felt pressured to choose sides on tech standards like 5G networks. For 2026, watch Taiwan. Its strategic importance for TSMC means any conflict would be catastrophic for tech supply. Also watch for more formalized chip NATO agreements where countries coordinate chip export rules. The free speech landscape went through major changes in 2025. It's a tug of war between moderating harmful content and protecting expressions. Different countries choose different balances, creating a fragmented environment. X, under Musk, advocated a more permissive approach but faced consequences. Studies showed misinformation spread more virulently than on moderated platforms. The EU fined them $220 million, advertisers and users fled. Meanwhile, Facebook and YouTube tried to walk a careful line maintaining content rules but also getting pressured by authorities to act faster on illegal content. State censorship continued in authoritarian regimes. Russia and China maintained iron grips, but even democratic countries flirted with censorship-like measures. India used laws to demand removal of content critical of policies. The hopeful development, open protocols and decentralized platforms grew. Mastodon on ActivityPub gained users whenever Twitter had issues. Blue Sky introduced the AT protocol aiming to decentralize social media with user choice and moderation. Meta even launched Threads with ActivityPub compatibility, signaling that open protocols are being taken seriously. For 2026, expect the debate to intensify with many countries having elections. Social media will be under pressure to control misinformation. We might see advanced AI moderation that can understand context better, reducing false positives. Let me quickly hit 3 special topics. Is AI adoption slowing due to cost? Yes, kind of. Consumer AI use leveled off in 2025 after explosive growth in 2023-24. ChatGPT's monthly active users stabilized and even slipped when they introduced the $20 per month plus tier and limited free access. Running large AI models is expensive. Each query costs providers a few cents. Companies had to monetize, introducing paid plans and usage limits. This is inevitably reduced casual use. Enterprise adoption continued rising though. Companies invested in AI to automate processes with high ROI, but for broad consumer use, cost became prohibitive. What big companies are building for 2026? Everyone's in flushing AI deeper. Google's working on Gemini baked into search, Microsoft pushing second-gen copilots, Meta building AI for the metaverse with chatbots on WhatsApp. AR, VR hardware is huge. Apple's likely working on more affordable second-gen headset. Meta's Quest 4 and AR glasses called Orion. Sony may have PSV R3. Custom silicon is the mantra. Google developing Tensor chips, Amazon with Graviton CPUs, Microsoft with Athena AI chips. Everyone wants control over the chips powering their products. 2025 consumer tech trends. Foldable major Samsung, Google and Chinese brands expanded lineups internationally with better durability, making up about 5% of smartphone sales now. Wearables go health-focused. Apple Watch added body temperature sensors. Some watches started blood pressures monitoring. Sleep tracking became standard. AI gadgets emerged. Companion robots for kids, smart photo frames creating art, AI-powered devices everywhere. The trend is personalization and convenience through AI. Alright, That's, my friends, 2020. That was 2025 in tech. Absolutely insanity when you look at everything together. Bitcoin's roller coaster, AI everywhere with China making moves, regulations finally catching up, robots getting smarter, cities getting smarter, and the whole geo-economy chess game playing out. What I'm most excited about for 2026? Honestly, seeing if AI adoption picks back up with better models, whether Apple's Vision Pro ecosystem takes off, and how all these regulations actually get enforced. So follow us here on Smart World Education. This was just the view of 2025 from a point of view what happens and where we are going next. Watch out for our small videos here explaining new technologies, new AI models and training models, and what happens in 2026 to all the fields of smart technologies. Thank you for being here and watching. Have a nice day. Bye.